Welcome back to American Ground Radio. I'm Stephen Parr with Louis R. Avalone. Louis is out and about this week. A lot of important stuff going on this week. We've got the qualifications for the mayor election going on here in town, and a lot of other stuff going on. And there's a really big event coming on at the end of the month here on July 31st, Death of a Nation. It's a brand new movie by Dinesh D'Souza. It's going to be screened by the Caddo GOP on July 31st. Take note right here. You can get tickets at cattogop.com, Death of a Nation. And that's, again, Tuesday, July 31st at 7:30 p.m. at Cinemark, Tinseltown. They got all the seats where you can lay back, and you push the button, and the seat flies up, and it's going to be great. Get your tickets at cattogop.com. And this movie is, I'm really looking forward to it because it's by Dinesh D'Souza, who I think unquestionably is the best-known conservative filmmaker in America. And it's also our honor to have him as a guest here on American Ground Radio. Dinesh D'Souza, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. I'm happy to be on the show.
So excited. You've done 2016 Obama's America. You did America, Imagine the World Without Her, and you did Hillary's America, The Secret History of the Democrat Party. All of these are documentary films. They are all very pro-American, and you believe in the heart and the dream and the creed of this country.
Absolutely. I'm actually an immigrant, a legal immigrant, who came to this country at the age of 17. I've certainly seen the American dream play out in my own life. And in some ways, I think our politics is about that. We're fighting over a dream that is now somewhat imperiled. And my movies reflect that. The new one, Death of a Nation, I mean, what's so cool is that the movie opens nationwide August 3rd. But what you're talking about is a pre-screening, people able to see the movie before it opens in the in the general theater for the general audience.
Right.
So, delighted you're doing the screening, and I wish I could be there myself, but I will be there in spirit, and I will be there on the screen.
Yes, you will. The trailer for the movie says Lincoln saved America for the first time. It's now up to us to save America a second time. What do you mean by that?
Well, it says that Lincoln saved America for the first time. So remember that, think about this. I mean, we're having this crazy political debate now over the legitimacy of Trump's election. And we cannot think back in our lifetime to when this has happened before. But with a little glimpse of history, we can see that actually it has. In 1860, the Democrats were faced with an election, an unlikely candidate, kind of an outsider. Lincoln won it. The Democrats, both in the North and the South, went berserk. The Southern Democrats seceded. The Northern Democrats worked for years to undermine Lincoln from behind Union ranks. And so the Lincoln situation is eerily similar. Remember, it's the same party, by the way, that's refusing to digest or accept a free election outcome. And the Republican Party today stands for the same principles that it did then, which is the principle of the self-made man, the principle of emancipation, of freedom. And so the movie draws out this, I think, beautiful parallel, but it does so also by confronting the Democrats' race card and their fascism card. Those are the two big themes explored in the movie.
Those are my next two questions. Is Donald Trump a racist?
Absolutely not. The proof of this is really that Trump, when he's talking about immigrants, which is kind of the exhibit A of his so-called racism, basically they go, he doesn't like illegals, he doesn't like Mexicans. Well, the truth of it is Trump draws a clear line. It's not a racial line between the legal and the illegal immigrant. Now, I'm a perfect example of a legal immigrant who's non-white, and I'm actually typical in the sense that most legal immigrants today come from Asia or Africa or South America. They don't come anymore from Europe. And Trump has never complained about that. He's never said, well, gee, you know what? We need to have more legal immigrants from Iceland and New Zealand and not so many from Barbados or Bombay. And this proves that Trump is defending legal immigration and actually multiracial America against a threat from open borders.
Well, and you mentioned that you are an immigrant yourself, and one of the things that you were just saying with Donald Trump not being a racist, Donald Trump actually gave you a very high honor in that he pardoned you. There was this whole election deal, and criminal charges were brought. You pled out, but Donald Trump pardoned you, and he said you were, quote, treated very unfairly by our government. What did that mean to you when the president issued a pardon that you didn't ask for, that you didn't request?
Well, it was absolutely fantastic, a tremendous relief and a sense of elation. You know, I was on CNN to talk about it, and the CNN guys were saying to me, they're like, well, you know, you got preferred treatment because you had some very powerful people like Ted Cruz and President Trump, you know, intervening on your behalf. And I said, well, that's true, but it took some equally powerful people named Obama and Holder and this Indian stooge, Preet Bharara, my prosecutor out of New York. These very powerful people did a kind of political hit on me, and so it took some equally powerful people to undo it.
So when we talk about the politically powerful and the concentration of power, the left right now says the concentration of power means that Donald Trump is a fascist, that he's just trying to be a one-person rule, that he is trying to rule by fiat and be a king and be a fascist. And you actually explore that in this movie, too. You explore the fascism angle.
Right. It's really funny that many people who talk about fascism like this, they actually don't have any idea what fascism even means. You know, first of all, Trump has done nothing authoritarian. Look at all these people who bash him on every platform, every second of every day. A real fascist, I mean, a real Mussolini or a real Hitler would have sent brown shirts or black shirts to beat up those guys in the New York Times and shut down those guys in Hollywood. And so they'd have no tolerance for this kind of dissent. But Trump fires back on Twitter and he fires back in his press conferences. But that only means that he's exercising the same free speech that he takes it for granted every other American has the right to exercise. Now, the people who are shutting down free speech on the campus, for example, are these Antifa guys. And the people who are using the deep state against their political opponents, well, that was the Obama guys and the Hillary guys. And so the real institutional fascism, the deployment of the weapons of the government, the DOJ, the FBI, against your political opponents, this has now become the trademark signature of the Democratic Party.
Dinesh, as an immigrant to this country, how have you become such a student of American history, such a student of American political history, when this wasn't the country that you were born in? This is the one that you've come to and you've become very successful in. What was it about our history as a nation that has been so fascinating to you?
Well, I started out by just noticing all the different ways, sometimes very kind of small, virtually invisible ways in which America is different than other countries. I mean, having grown up in another culture, I can sort of see things in America that seem odd. And then I began to think about it. How did this come to be? Is it just so happened that this is sort of the American habit versus, let's say, the Indian habit? No, I realized that America is actually a country that was constructed, you may say built from the ground up through a set of very unique ideas. And so I realized that a knowledge of history will help me to sort of get a grasp on what makes America unique, what makes America distinctive, what historians call American exceptionalism is only understandable once you have a good sense of American history.
Now, your movies are about American exceptionalism, and so that brings me to this other question here. There's some people who just outright reject American exceptionalism, and so they will reject you without even watching any of your movies, without even reading any of your books. And that makes me wonder, who do you think your movies are for? Who are you making your movies for? Who's your audience, and who are you trying to reach?
Well, my audience right now is the ordinary centrist to right-of-center voter who is getting a sort of big lie or a series of big lies from Hollywood and from the media and even from the academic curriculum. These big lies are flying through our culture. They're not just about the current day. They're also narratives about American history. And so my movie is aimed at equipping, inspiring, and moving conservatives, Republicans, centrists to see what's going on, learn for themselves, show up on Election Day. So they're galvanizing movies. They're depressing in a way because they show you the bad side of America or the bad side of the left. And then but they leave you with a powerful sense of what you can do to make a difference.
Well, you can watch this movie, Death of a Nation, the latest movie by Dinesh D'Souza, coming up on July 31st. Go to caddogop.com, CADDOGOP.com. You can get tickets there. It's going to be at Cinemark Tinseltown on July 31st at 7:30 p.m. Dinesh D'Souza, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you taking time to come talk to us and about letting us show your movie even before it comes out nationwide.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Coming up next. Now, why hasn't Netflix offered Dinesh D'Souza a movie deal? I mean, the Obamas got one. Why not him? We'll talk about it when American Ground Radio continues.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us. With Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 Heal.